it's really hard to complain when your bills are paid and your man has like a little tiny bit of
poor me.
Poor you. You don't really have to work if you didn't want to, but like it's so much selflessness. You are so this person's significant other. You are, and after a while, like I think it's fun when you're 20 and you're like, yay, like we're cool and like, but when you get 30, you're kind of tired of being like, I'm so irrelevant. Like these people won't even talk to me if I wasn't dating this person, and your value. And like, I've talked about this with a few of the other wives this year, and we've talked about like, if you don't feel that tiny bit of they know that you create the solitude in their life. Like, I truly agree that they wouldn't be where they are without the home life that they have, because they are the most, like they have such a dopamine, like I'm jumping around, but when you're playing like that, they get screamed at by like adults of being loved and cherished. Like the dopamine hits and like the serotonin must be crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when they're going through like slumps or bad seasons, like it is the grumpiest time of like, it's really hard. I will say for the most part, most athletes are very grumpy. Like if they're not scoring or they're not playing well, it's just like, this is kind of miserable.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I was telling you too, right before Hurley was like giving me a rundown on how the playoffs work and how sports are, and like, especially something like hockey where there's so many games and it's a longer season, right? Where there's like football is not, it's one game a week, right? So like, I feel like so much of their mood is of course going to ride on how they perform and where their standings are, because it's literally all consuming.
Like honestly, if it's your second child and you're about to give birth and there's a playoff game, there's like a 99% chance they're not going to be there. Like they're not going to miss a playoff game for your second kid. Maybe your first, and even your first is kind of like,
that's what I think of when I say this.
You're alone. Like it's sacrifice. You're very alone.
And
they get traded. It's not like, it's like, I'm leaving. I have practice tomorrow with my other team. Like, do your shit.
Okay, thinking about it, okay, maybe they have like 1 or 2 games a week. How many days do they have off a week, say, normally?
Hockey's not as bad, but because I feel like they're home by like noon every day when they're,
oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, but on game days, I don't know. Some people feel like they're gone a lot. I don't. Because like low-key, my boyfriend annoys, or my fiance annoys me, so I don't mind.
You're like, please be gone. But I guess I'm just thinking like, if in my head I was thinking they'd be having like long days and be busy.
Sometimes they'll go on the road for like 2 weeks.
So
it's
like
crazy.
While they're out doing that, you're holding down the fort.
Oh my God,
and then you're building that life for yourself, whether it's with your career, whether it's just meeting, the other wives and girlfriends, right? Whatever you're doing, you're getting acclimated to a new city. And then they come home one day and they're like, hey babe, we're going to North Dakota. I don't even know if there's a team there, but like, like that you just have to drop everything and go. And so it is that must be really challenging for you.
It's challenging
to never feel like you have a solid home base, or like it could be taken away at any moment.
I think it's a little different experience for me and AJ, because AJ has fought for his job here. He's been someone that was up and down, and like that dynamic is very different from someone who just like makes the club right out of like being young. Do you know what I mean? Like you make it as a 20-year-old and you're just in the league. Like AJ's had to like fight to get here. So like for me, I have learned to not get attached anywhere other than him. I just want him to like, this is such a short period of time. I like it's max done at like 35, like maximum. Yeah. That's so young. Like let's just get as much money as we can. If we need to move every year, we're in it for like, we really are in this for the money. Like, we're going to maximize his potential, and like, we don't need to like take less money to stay somewhere, because we're not a person that's signing like an 8-year deal. We're signing like 2 years. So let's just be smart about it. You know what I mean?
But I think that also speaks to the history of your relationship and meeting him before this all really escalated and evolved into what it is now, because I imagine it must be more difficult trying to get on the same page and build that foundation when, and I'm making a judgment here, I do not know, but like when you're meeting them in the middle of their journey,
God, it's so
you
much
know what I
harder
mean?
100%.
So you guys have that really solid foundation and that solid base. So like me and him are on the same page. Like there's no breaking that. And I feel like there's a comfort, and you can kind of take a sigh of relief in that, knowing that you guys made an agreement per se.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like it's a very different dynamic when you go through it together the whole way. Yeah. Then I have a friend who's going through that. Definitely, like she's met her man like when he's towards the end, not even towards the end, but he's like really established himself, and she's like finding her identity within him, and she's going through her first year blues. Like she's really like, this is like really hard to just.
Is that a thing, first year blues?
I call it, because the stuff she talks about, I'm like, oh man, I gave up on that.
Coin that term.
First year blues. Like she's just dealing with stuff that I was like, oh, that was like 5 years ago for me. Like it's just funny to relive it because I love her, and just we're reliving it together.
Do you think that the girls kind of rally together as a support system? Like you're there for one another?
The Bruins wives are a different situation. Like we have Marchand's wife and like they're the best. Like I have never felt so welcomed on it. Like it's just the best year, and like the girls, it's not normally like that. I will say maybe it is. I've only played on 3 teams. I don't want to jump, but this team has been magical. Like I've never felt like within a month I felt like I was part of the team.
Is that how long it's been? A month?
No,
You've been here?
No.
Oh.
We've been here like 8 months. We're in playoffs now. We're like 8 months in.
Oh yeah, duh.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God, I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I'm catching up.
WAG life is a whole other thing. It's like one little facet of my life, but it's a unique experience for sure.